Alternative formats for this presentation can be found on the Financial Services website. Visit or contact us at the Financial Services training page. Email us at finance.training@queensu.ca or give us a call at 613-533-2050. Tracking movable assets. Training for asset tracking administrators. In this tutorial, topics will include an overview of the Tracking Movable Assets policy. We'll talk about the role of the asset tracking administrators for the department and the faculty, and the role of the asset tracking coordinator in financial services. Part 1. Tracking Movable Assets, an overview of the policy. The policy on tracking movable assets applies to all departments and organizational units within Queen's University. The benefits demonstrate effective stewardship over research or other university movable assets that have been financed with public funds, ensure compliance with funding agency requirements related to the tracking or safekeeping of assets purchased with externally granted research funds, assist in detecting the misappropriation and/or theft of movable assets, support a system of documentation for insurance purposes, and enable the university to better manage the life cycle of movable assets. Who is involved? The Asset Tracking Administrator for the department, known as the ATAD, the Asset Tracking Administrator in the faculty, the ATAF, and the Asset Tracking Coordinator, or the ATC, in financial services. Movable assets defined. A movable asset is defined as an article of portable, tangible property, that is, having physical existence, regardless of costs and useful life. This includes furniture or equipment that is not affixed to any part of a room or building. It also includes those pieces of furniture or equipment that are attached to a room or building, but 1, are not permanently affixed, 2, can be removed without costly or extensive alterations or repairs to the building to make the space usable for other purposes, and 3, can be used after removal. What assets need to be tracked? Any movable asset with an acquisition cost of greater than or equal to 10,000 Canadian dollars, acquired after May 1st, 2015. Any movable asset with an acquisition cost of greater than or equal to 100,000 Canadian dollars, acquired after May 1st, 2013. Any movable asset that is deemed by a department to be of historical or cultural significance. This criterion is to be applied to each single item purchased and not intended to capture aggregate costs in excess of $10,000 for invoices with multiple items or volumes of equipment or furniture. What minimum details must be tracked? For assets greater than 10,000 Canadian dollars, minimum details that must be tracked include asset name, description, model number, serial number, manufacturer name and vendor, the location where the asset is assigned, how the asset was purchased, that is, P-card or purchase order, date of purchase and date received or acquired, acquisition cost and allocated to the appropriate account IDs, name and contact information of the person associated with the asset, scan or copy of packing slip and other relevant docs, including warranty information. How are assets tracked? Assets are tracked using an asset tracking tool. A centrally provided asset tracking tool has been developed for use and can be found on the Tracking Movable Assets page. Business units using an existing departmental asset tracking tool can continue to do so as long as you provide all required data fields and submit an asset tracking annual confirmation template to the ATC. Business units using the centrally provided asset tracking tool will enter assets when purchased, receive quarterly reviews from the ATC, and submit an asset tracking annual confirmation template to the ATC. Regardless of which asset tracking tool is used, departments must ensure that the purchase of movable assets is recorded in the appropriate accounts, the account ID range 612 and 614. Business units should monitor these accounts on a regular basis in order to facilitate quarterly reconciliation. Part 2. Role of the Asset Tracking Administrator for the department, also known as the ATAD. To submit an asset for tracking using the centrally provided asset tracking tool, once your department has purchased an asset with an acquisition cost of greater than or equal to 10,000 Canadian dollars, the department's Asset Tracking Administrator, the ATAD, will submit the information by way of the Submit an Asset for Tracking form. To access the form, log in using your Queen's Net ID and password. Note, fields with a star beside them are mandatory fields. Hover text notes are available for each field, providing additional instructions for entering data. When you are done, click the Submit button once at the bottom. The form will feed into the central asset tracking system, where it will be monitored by the Asset Tracking Administrator of the faculty, the ATAF. If you require access or have questions regarding the online form, contact the Asset Tracking Coordinator, the ATC, in Financial Services at asset.tracking@queensu.ca. The ATAD is responsible for performing quarterly reconciliations. At the end of each quarter, January, April, July, and October, the ATC will email the quarterly departmental asset listing report to the ATAD and CC the ATAF. Before the end of the new quarter, February, May, August, and November, the ATAD will ensure that each movable asset purchased in the previous quarter and recorded in the General Ledger account range 612 and 614 is included in the quarterly departmental asset listing report. If edits are required, the ATAD will contact the ATAF for assistance with updating the asset information in the Asset Tracking Tool system. Part 3. Role of the Asset Tracking Administrator for the faculty, the ATAF. The Asset Tracking Coordinator, the ATC, in Financial Services will send a consolidated departmental list of movable assets as of January 31st to the ATAF. By February 15th of each year, the Asset Tracking Administrator, ATAF, for the Faculty or Shared Service Business Office will be responsible to validate this list by reconciling it to PeopleSoft Finance and return it with any edits to the ATC at asset.tracking@queensu.ca. For faculty or shared business offices who are using their own asset tracking tool, an asset tracking annual confirmation template is provided on the Financial Services Forms page. The template must be completed by February 15th of each year and emailed to the ATC at asset.tracking@queensu.ca. Part 4. Role of the Asset Tracking Coordinator, ATC, in Financial Services. Financial Services is responsible for administering the asset tracking policy and associated procedures, as well as for the monitoring and oversight of assets. The Asset Tracking Coordinator, ATC, in Financial Services is responsible for sending quarterly reports to ATADs and ATAFs listing departmental assets in the first week of February, May, August, and November, and assisting ATADs and ATAFs with resolving discrepancies in the annual reports, training requirements, and respond to any additional questions. Here are some additional resources. Email the Asset Tracking Administrator, the ATC, in Financial Services at asset.tracking@queensu.ca. Tracking movable asset website resources include the Financial Services Forms page, Financial Services Procedures page, Tracking Movable Assets link, and the University Secretariat Policy page, the Finance link. How may we help you today? Give us a call at 613-533-2050. Email us at finance@queensu.ca. Financial Services is located at 207 Stewart Street, 3rd floor, Rideau Building. Our hours of operation are Monday through Friday. We are open 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., closed during the noon hour. This concludes our tutorial. To learn more or to review additional training resources and video tutorials, visit the Financial Services training page.